What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today it's time to review Chucky episode 6, Cape Queer. And in this one, it hits the ground running. Kyle, you see her behind me, as well as Andy Barkley are both back. First time they've been on screen together since Child's Play 2, and it was an awesome scene to start this episode. Gonna have spoilers in this. Obviously, every one of these reviews, just gonna throw that out there. But here you have Andy and Kyle showing up at this house pretending to be like census workers, right? They're there to do a census, but they're really trying to ask questions and investigate to find out if a Chucky doll is there, especially if there is a possessed Chucky doll there, because they need to go ahead and kill him, because they're trying to hunt down all the dolls that were possessed by Charles Lee Ray from Cult of Chucky. And it was a pretty cool scene. You had Kyle, trying to just play it cool, trying to make it real and ask questions. Meanwhile, you got Andy over here talking about, so any freak accidents lately? The people are like, what the no? Any dolls in the house? So that was a pretty fun back and forth, and you would have thought that they would have, figured out what they're going to say beforehand, and maybe they did, and Andy just went crazy, because once Andy kind of smelled blood and thought that they were in the right place, he started asking about the doll, he started pushing it, and eventually the little girl, the daughter, did bring out the doll, going by Charles, and almost right away the doll makes a face at Andy and gets ready to kill the little girl, and is like, holy shit. Andy fires at him. Could have easily hit the girl. Hopefully he, taking plenty of target practice. Apparently he has, because he hits Chucky. And then both Kyle and Andy just boom, 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 just obliterate Chucky. And overall, it was a pretty badass scene. Some of the edits of it and just some of the dialogue, I didn't think it was the best, a little awkward at times, to be honest, at least from my point of view, but overall, pretty cool scene. And yeah, Andy obviously got some PTSD. I think, I don't know if it's Alex Vincent's performance or if it's just that's Andy, because and that's of course what I'm going to think about it, because Andy clearly has had a horrible childhood and a terrible life with this doll trying to kill him. But yeah, all of his lines are very monotone. I don't see any emotion in his eyes. It's just I don't know if that's Alex Vincent's acting or if it's just the character, but I'm going to go ahead and assume it's the character, because that makes it much easier to watch and actually is understandable. The Tiffany and Nika / Chucky scenes are really awesome. And of course, I kind of forget sometimes that actually Tiffany is in the body of Jennifer Tilly still, which is, a continuity from Seed of Chucky. So, they're really going for it, not ignoring any movies. There was even a reference to Child's Play 3 in this one. So I really appreciate that he's sticking to the continuity, even with the films that I don't like, even with some of the storylines I don't like. They still happen, and you got to stick with them. But it's pretty cool, because Nika has come back into her own consciousness, because blood got thrown on her face, and this is when she was still Chucky. And for whatever reason, she became Nika again. And I don't know the explanation for that. If we're going to get an explanation for that, there are things in this episode that confused me. And it kind of left me with more questions than answers. And there's things I didn't like about the approach of this episode. But as far as just the biggest episode, you're getting everything you want, with all the characters showing up. And yeah, there's a lot of just big moments in this episode. But there are also a lot of like, what? Such as, why is Nika able to come back to consciousness, other than because it's better for the show. But why exactly is that? Why is Jennifer Tilly not able to come to the consciousness of her, in her body? Is Jennifer Tilly still alive in there somewhere? I don't know. Is it because Chucky is split into multiple souls, so it's tougher to really hang on to that body, and sometimes Nika can... I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Fiona Dorff was awesome as usual in the role. This time, for the first time, she's actually playing Nika, pretending to be Chucky. So that was really interesting. And of course, Tiffany wasn't falling for that. She already had stabbed her like in the thigh, which of course, and she didn't feel any pain. Of course, Nika didn't feel any pain. So I like how she starts asking her questions about their honeymoon and stuff, and it was really cool. Also, the flashback was pretty badass, where they go by the car. It was just entertaining. Nothing too crazy there, but I enjoyed that. And then also I enjoyed the scene where Tiffany's trying to buy a house. This is back in modern day. She's trying to buy this house, the old house of Charles Lee Ray. And at first, the real estate agent is all, excited and everything that she's selling this house. to Jennifer Tilly, who's a celebrity because she thinks it's Jennifer Tilly because, right, it's Jennifer Tilly's body. So she's portraying herself to be Jennifer Tilly wherever she goes. Really interesting. And then, you know, she starts realizing this girl is completely weird. At one point, she's like, I'm out. And she's like, okay, have a nice day. I'm gone. She's like, would you like an autograph? Next time. It was pretty funny, that entire scene. And also, the show nicely plants little seeds for the future. Like, why does she have that Good Guys doll box? I mean, she obviously ordered a Good Guys doll. Clearly, she's probably going to try to put Charles Lee Ray's soul into that doll. That would be my guess. That the way she could have Nika all to herself and maybe still have Chucky, you know, in the doll. So we'll see anyway. I'm not really sure, but we'll see where that goes. And those are pretty much my favorite parts of this episode with Andy and Kyle and any scenes that we saw. Chucky and Tiffany, that was all awesome. The flashback was pretty cool as well. And, you know, when we get into modern times, though, with all the stuff that we've followed so far, I'm a little confused on some of the things that happened in this episode. Again, major spoilers coming up. So we finally found out that big secret with Junior's mom. It's that she has stage 4 cancer. Really sad. She ends up, you know, letting her family know. It's a pretty sad scene. Junior's really gone through a lot in this series. He's breaking down. He even breaks up with Lexi. You know, he's obviously, for obvious reasons, you start to actually feel really bad for Junior and what he's gone through. So this next scene it was a little much for me. So his mom, you know, ends up, for whatever reason, Junior's with her. I don't remember, but she goes to her therapy session and he's going to stay in the car and wait for her. Not really sure why, but I guess so the scene could happen. But anyway, she goes to her therapy session and it starts talking about, you know, I'm not going to get any treatment on this. I'm going to live my life how I want. I could get run over by a truck today. You never know when your time has come. So I'm just going to live my life with my family for as much time as I have left. And, you know, her mention about how, you know, I could walk out this door and die. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, is she about to walk out that door and die? So sure enough, we see Chucky there pushing the little cart when she comes out. I don't know how and what's going to happen. I'm kind of thinking maybe she'll survive. Maybe he'll attack her and now she's going to know that Chucky's alive. Or maybe she'll actually get killed. And it didn't quite cross my mind that Junior's still out in the car until she gets knocked out the window and falls to her death, landing on the car with her face going through the windshield right there for Junior to see. And of course he freaks out. And I just was like, oh, fuck. Like, I was kind of hurt, like, emotionally for Junior in that moment, if nothing else. So I didn't really, you know, it was a cool kill. And I think if it was just an empty car or something, it would have been like just a typical, you know, awesome Chucky kill. But because Junior was in the car and we already knew what he'd been going through, that was just like, oh my God. You know, I don't know how he recovers from this ever. And also that she got killed off. That whole storyline, the secret, and what's going to happen with this. You thought we were going somewhere and, you know, hoping for extra seasons. I don't believe it's been picked up for a second season, but, you know, maybe there'll be more seasons. You know, you can't just kill everyone off, but she gets killed off. And she wasn't the last major character to get killed off. At the end, while they're trying to set a trap for Chucky, all the teenagers, the 3 teenagers, Lexi, Jake, and Devin are all, you know, trying to set the trap for Chucky. Chucky does show up and has a chance to kill Lexi. Doesn't do it again, says he wants to see her kill Jake. And my interpretation was, well, he's a sick mother effer, so he knows that she's a sick mother effer because he's seen the way that she has been in the past. And, you know, talking about you love to torture. So I kind of understand why she, you know, he's been wanting to kill her, but maybe he has second thoughts. Maybe there's usually like a human or two that he'll kind of have a little bit of a bond with it, if you will, and, you know, not kill them. So maybe he's ready for Jake. You know, Jake's a little bitch. He's done with Jake. Maybe he's starting to think, maybe Lexi's the one because she's crazy as hell. Of course, as crazy and a bully and a horrible person as she is, she's not going to be killing anyone. And right now she's on board with trying to take out Chucky, but she does go along with it a little bit. And that's a pretty cool moment. But then Devin's mom comes home and Chucky attacks her. And I'm actually feeling this. I'm like, finally, this girl is going to know that there is actually a little doll that's alive and a little killer doll. And finally, this will clear the teacher who's been charged, by the way, with 3 counts of murder, which is insane. But I guess they had to charge someone. All these murders are happening. It actually makes sense. They're investigating. The police need to charge someone, but they're able to eliminate suspects like Jake because he wasn't there for every murder. And it's like, we got to put these pieces together. And finally, because of that principal murder, they figure out it's this teacher. So they arrest her for murder, completely innocent. I was actually feeling the scene where, she was getting interviewed by the officer, Devin's mom, and I want a lawyer. I was feeling that. I was wanting more of that in future episodes. So I really didn't want Devin's mom to die. And I didn't think she was gonna. I was like, no, they won't kill her off. Hell no, they ain't gonna kill her off. She's dead. They killed her off too. The police officer, Devin's mom. And I thought that there was just so much more to do with her. And it's like, okay, is this just to shock the audience? Because you're just killing everyone off now. And I really don't get it now. I mean, I thought there was somewhere to go with that, with her knowing that Chucky was alive, but now there's yet another murder. And clearly it wasn't the teacher because she is in prison or in jail. So really interesting, I guess, where it's going to go from there. But I did find it to be just kind of disappointing. But we'll see where it goes. So overall, I'd say this episode had a lot of cool moments. Loving Kyle back, loving to see Andy back. And of course, all of the, I really love all the Tiffany and Nika scenes. And those are a lot of fun as well. But the episode still left me with more questions than answers, to be honest. And we'll see. It's kind of one of those episodes where right now, I don't love this episode, but maybe by the time the series is over and I rewatch it, I'll appreciate it more knowing what's to come. We'll have to wait and see on that. But as of now, I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. Not one of my favorite episodes, but a lot of fun too. And it could definitely go up in that rating depending on what happens. I just confused on killing off those two characters. I don't know if I liked it right now. Well, I don't like it right now because I was interested in, Devin's mom and all that. But and seeing where it was going to go with the teacher who was arrested and where all that's going to go, and to see if somehow maybe she would be convinced. I guess she was convinced that Chucky was real for about a good 10 seconds before her neck got snapped. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. It's still fun. I'm still really enjoying the series. I think the series is awesome. Also a Michael Myers reference in this one, or not, Laurie Strode, a Halloween reference. That was pretty cool that Halloween exists in the Child's Play franchise. So little things like that, really cool. So you guys have a great day. Let me know what you guys thought. Can't wait for next week. We'll talk to you then.